Hey there, reviews.org. My name is Dr. Time, and this is my last minute submission video for your Disney Plus Dream Job opportunity. You've asked for the biggest, baddest Disney fan to review their absolute favorite Disney movie, and that's what I'm about to do for you. If you're wondering why I look like this, it's kind of my attempt as a homage, to tip of the hat if you will, to one of the greatest storytellers of all time, in my opinion, Mr. Walt Disney himself. He started with just a sketchbook and a black and white scale created the House of Mouse. Just with this right here, Mr. Steamboat Willie, he changed the world with his storytelling. And so I'm going to be telling my first story to you in a similar fashion. It's true that they say life isn't just black and white. It's definitely gray. But why not start with black and white? Why not keep things simple? I think that's the genius of how Walt got started. And I see that genius with my own 2.5-year-old daughter. When I try to teach her a new concept, I try to start at polar extreme opposites, so like black and white, just to try to keep it simple. And once I realize that she can comprehend those differences, then we get into the finer details, the nuances in between, and then the learning just continues. But the black and white, as you can see me now, is kind of the best place to start. And the moment that you can take those two opposites and see them as one through storytelling or a perspective shift, I think that's the kind of Disney magic we've become accustomed to and experiencing in Disney storytelling. And if I can give you an example, I would say, if you think about time, what is the greatest time imaginable? If you were to take time to infinity, what would you say that is? Most people would say eternity. And what if you did it in the opposite direction? If that is white and if you want to go to black, what's the smallest increment of time? What if you took that to infinity? What if you took an hour, cut it in half to 30 minutes, cut it in half to 15 minutes, cut that in half, and keep cutting it in half an infinite number of times? Would you ever get to zero? Or does that infinity continue? So you're talking about the biggest infinity possible and the smallest infinity possible. Can those be the same thing? Are they both just infinity? That right there, if you think about it, is what I like to think of as a three-sided coin. Okay, so now the time has come. What is my absolute favorite Disney movie of all time? Well, it's A Timeless Tale, and I would say it's the king of all Disney movies. Here, right here, I would say The Lion King is my absolute favorite Disney movie. And it's because I think it touches on the magic of time the way we had just discussed, like a three-sided coin. I once heard a theoretical physicist say that every one of us is misinterpreting the word present, and that none of us live in the present. Because if you think about it, when you look at a star in the sky and you see the light from that star may not even exist in this moment. That star may have existed light years ago, and you're seeing the light from the past. And so you're literally experiencing the past. And if you were to come from these stars and down to real world and you see me here, the light that you're seeing from your screen takes time still to travel from the screen to your eyes. We're all stardust. So this light that you're seeing from me as a star takes time to get to your eye, gets time to go to your brain. By the time you're aware of what you're seeing, it was actually the past that you're experiencing. Our brains cannot conceive the present. And so we all generally live in the past. Yet, the physicist took it to the next level and said that all of physics, from Physics 101 to the theoretical physics that he does at Caltech, there's only one variable for time. So what that means is there's no way for him to distinguish between past time and future time. There's just time. That there's a complete symmetry between the two, that they exist as one, like the three-sided coin we alluded to earlier. So in The Lion King, I think the circle of life represents the magic of that three-sided coin, because although Mufasa is no longer there with Simba, he still lives in him. And that's something that I've experienced personally, because my father passed before my daughter was born, before my firstborn. And I work in a position where I get to experience a lot of interactions with parents and their children. And during these interactions, while my wife and I were pregnant, and again now when we're expecting our second child, I sit and ask myself, when I see an act of another parent, would I do it the same way? And if I disagree with what they're doing, ultimately, I think every parent is doing their best. I think there's this transcendent connection between parent and child where the parents typically feel like they are one with the child. Like the idea of like we're all connected, the circle of life that they touch on. I believe for most people, they truly get direct experience with that when they have a child. Some people experience it when they have a pet. Some people experience it when they have just like a deep understanding and connection with another. But for the majority of people, I think they truly experience that when they have a child. And until that moment, it's like a color they've never seen before. So in the circle of life, when I ask myself, like this person is doing their best, but I don't agree with it. Why do I think my best is better than their best? And when I kind of do some soul searching and I ask myself for the answers, I hear not my voice in my head, not my thinking voice, but I hear my father's voice. Like literally another individual's voice. Like it's different from my own, but that's the voice that helps to guide me to find the true answer. And I don't know if am I going crazy? Like some people think of me as the Mad Hatter. Is it going crazy when you hear other voices, or is there some truth to what the story was sharing that my father does live inside of me? And through his guidance, even though he's no longer on this earth, I make choices that affect my child's life. And so I truly see my daughter as my future self. Best way I can explain it is I see her body and my body as two separate flames and two separate candles. And if you think about the flame itself, it's just a random collection of atoms combusting in air, held together for a short time And just like this body here, this is just a random collection of atoms and molecules held together for a short lifespan in time. And if you take one candle lit with a flame and you pass it to another candle, and now you have two flames on two separate candles, two random collections of atoms combusting in air, would you consider that to be the same flame or not? In my mind, I think they came from the same place, and I think they are the same flame. And like just like all of us, I think we came from the same place. We all came from the same star. And so I think we are all connected as one, just like that flame is connected as one. And if you can agree with that, then I believe my daughter is my future self as much as my father is my past self. And when I have those moments of relying on my father's voice in my head to guide me to come to the right decisions, that's my past self interacting with my present self, which is affecting my future self. And that right there is the circle of life of the past, present, and future coming together as one. And there's so many moments of that in this film, which was done beautifully as a remake in this year. And I know now that I've said that Lion King is my favorite movie, then the question is which one? The original, the animated, or the modern day? I would have to say hands down for me, I know this isn't the popular answer, but the Jon Favreau computer-generated Lion King is a masterpiece in my mind, and I think it's the GOAT, the greatest of all time of all Disney films, because it highlights all the beautiful themes and storytelling art that was captured in the original film, but it did it on such a scale of realism that it created this sense of awe and reverence for nature that I don't think the first animated version can touch. And a lot of people said, well, they just did scene for scene copying. And that ties in on another quote that I've been thinking about, which is, lesser artists borrow and great artists steal. Can we truly have an original thought? And in my opinion, I would say no, because it's like trying to imagine a color we've never seen before. You can't create something new until you've experienced it. And the amount of effort and work that they put into this film was so beautifully done and so realistic. My nephews and nieces were asking me, how did they train the animals to act out the way they did? Like, they didn't think it was created in a lab or studio or like digitally mastered. And so it's just beautifully done. And when people say that they didn't add anything, I just want to reference them to some of the scenes where there was no extra dialogue, but just remember the scene where Simba's hair came off, and it just passed through the entire circle of life. There wasn't any dialogue, but that power of seeing how nature is just intertwined and how everything is connected took the storytelling of the first beautiful story on a whole nother level. And so I kind of alluded it to my application, and I'm running out of time here. I need to upload this video before midnight. But in my real world, I experienced the same beauty and awe of the Circle of Life Pride Rock opening sequence in Childish Gambino's set at ACL. This performer basically stole the ideas of the Lion King and the Circle of Life and incorporated it into his set. And can you really say he was stealing? Because this is the real world Simba. He is the Lion King. So if anyone can do it, it's him. And what he did was he took a 90-minute set, which may be his last performance as Childish, and broke it up into 3 separate individual shows that all began at the same position, which kept everyone guessing, because when he started his show, he started in the audience and came out on stage, finished his 30-minute set, and then goes back into the audience and comes out like we're beginning again, like nah, Sapenya. Like I looked around and I realized that his podium, which was a circle, elevated over the crowd, was a Rafiki moment, raising the future king for all of the herds to come and pay homage to. I felt as though I was in a real world Circle of Life Pride Rock moment, witnessing the new king, which he is in every element: television, film, music. He's like the triple hat trick Mad Hatter, GOAT in terms of performance and storytelling. He did it in such a way that I was completely transformed and inspired and realized that I want to become a storyteller myself. And so that's why I wanted to put this video together to pay tribute to one of the other greatest storytellers, Walt Disney, and his style, his aesthetic, and to share some new insights on the movie that some may not have seen on the first take, and hopefully earn the right to be awarded the Disney+Dream-Job position. So thank you, and hopefully we'll see you soon. So here it is. The full circle coming together. Everyone in the herd proud to recognize their new king. Simba's presentation. Iconic. Touching the heavens with the light. Everyone's getting amped up, ready for a show. Pride Rock. And now here you see a snapshot of the same experience, a real world Pride Rock in Austin, Texas, with Simba at the top being raised above the herd, everyone coming to get amped up the same way, ready to pay tribute to their future king. And let's get into it. Let me show you the live footage. Alright, here's the video. Prince Simba, our future king, being raised up. There's the main stage to his right, or our right. He didn't come out on stage like you would normally expect most amazing artists to do, either stage left, stage right. He came out from amongst the people, amongst the herd. He was raised up right above us. And I felt like I was at the Lion King. Did you hear me say Hakuna Matata? There, touching the heavens, knocking on heaven's door. Is he Mufasa or Simba? Similar elements, just copying from the Lion King. Not just... And he's knocking on heaven's door the night after Guns N' Roses performed on the same stage, knocking on heaven's door. And he's saying, "Can you feel me?" I was asking the people around me, what is your spirit animal? Because we are witnessing the announcement of our king at Pride Rock, right here in Austin, Texas. And the stranger next to me said he's a sloth, which happens to be my wife's spirit animal. And there's the circle of life right there. And he turns around. Let's do it. Flip the script. Change the dimension. There, now he's on stage. Even though he's not on stage. He's here, he's there, he's everywhere. And this guy is such a great artist. He just steals from the best. And it's not easy to steal from the best. I just heard a story about days after the Beatles released Sgt. Pepper's, Jimi Hendrix covered the entire album in front of Paul McCartney and Eric Clapton. Like, you have to achieve greatness or surpass it to steal from the best. And if you listen right here, what melody is this that he's stealing from? I feel like I've heard this before, have you? I was just recognizing how this guy's so great at stealing. That's the art of storytelling. And like the Beatles, he's gonna change his identity. The Beatles got caught up in Beatlemania so much so that they didn't want to bring the baggage with them anymore. They decided they're gonna become a new band. The greatest album of all time, according to Rolling Stones, isn't by the Beatles, it's by Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. That was a new band. And Childish, who may be one of the goats of our day today, is gonna do the same rebranding soon and come out with a brand new identity. And now the herd is moving up. Everyone wants to get closer. And instead of doing a full 90-minute show, he broke it into 3 separate individual shows, and he ended them all the same way. And when he started it again at this Pride Rock, embracing the circle of life. Here's that melody again. Look at this thievery right here. Hey, Mr. DJ, he just stole it. So if you knew that he was going to do the same circle of life, the same 30-minute show in its entirety, but start fresh right back from the beginning like he was reincarnated, reborn, would you be content with this perspective, or would you want to be closer? I asked myself that same question during the live performance and realized, if anything, I would want to be Rafiki. I would want to be the one raising him up to witness his greatness. And if you believe in magic and the belief of storytelling, let me take you there. Abracadabra, here we go. Repeat all over again. Do you see the circle of life now? The part of you go, na supenya babagetziawa. There is no one between us and him right now. There it is, the circle of life just being highlighted. Raise it up. Amazing. So did that leave you feeling transformed as I did with Disney magic? Oh, hey, Dory. Oh, hey, Nemo. I mean, come on, the storytelling is paralleled. It's like art imitates life, life imitates art. It's like you can't separate the two. And all those emotions that is the magic and beauty of why The Lion King is so revered. Childish Gambino brought it into his set. He created a real world Pride Rock Circle of Life moment for himself, for me, and then I started noticing other parallels between us. If you look at this shirt, in the words of Childish Gambino, this is America. And for me, I love this shirt because I grew up here in Southern California. I grew up about 15 minutes away from the happiest place on earth, Disneyland. It was a fixture in my childhood. And then I stayed there for undergrad. I went up the coast for grad school. And then I crossed all the way over, across the pond to the UK where I spent a couple of years with the Air Force. And then after that, I come back to New York, where I also lived in New York City in the East Village and spent my grad school years there. And now I live in this black hole. I live right, not so far up actually, just a little bit lower, but in the other, known as Austin, Texas. Like, this is my America. And it's just like Childish said. Take a look at this quote here. Lesser artists borrow and great artists steal. I've come to learn that this is the secret of all great storytelling. Many people have said that there's only 7 stories to be told. And really some great storytellers think that those 7 are actually just one. It's like the rainbow. There's 7 colors, but there's just one rainbow. And in order to tell a great story, a lot of people feel fearful that they can't come up with an original one, but there's no need because there is no original thought. Everyone just steals from everyone. You witness it in Childish stealing the elements of the circle of life, the circle of time. Just the element of storytelling was stolen, but it was made his own and he did a great job with it. And so I want to show you why I believe I'm a contender for the belt of the biggest, baddest Disney fan by showing you how I just steal Disney concepts and incorporate it in my family life. So take a look at some of these photos. Here we are with the man himself and his mini-me, his Mickey-me, in front of the kingdom that he built. So knowing he's one of the best storytellers of all time, I decided I'm going to learn from the best and just steal his style. Check out some of this thievery. Here I am with my mini-me, my firstborn, and we're on a stack of Newsies papers, and if you look in the background, there's a little bit of mirroring happening. My mini-me, literally my mini-me, is his Mickey-me. And both of us are still mad hatting because Hatter's got a hat. Here's a close-up of Walt. And here's a close-up of me. Just blatant stealing. Great storytelling, if I do say so myself. There are only 7 stories in human experience. And are you brave enough to try to tell one of them? The way you get to live a great story, the one story that matters the most for you, is by realizing you're the author of your own story. The words you choose plays into the dialogue, the script of your movie, your story. So if you want to live a great story, you have to choose great words. For this past Halloween, I was trying to teach my daughter what it's like to go down the rabbit hole. I try to show her rabbit holes on every topic whenever we can. We just explore. We've been reading Alice in Wonderland for a while now, and we go down, down, down the rabbit hole where I'm the Mad Hatter, she's Alice, and my wife, you better watch out for her because she likes to say off with their heads. My daughter Spring is the primary inspiration for all of my creativity, and she's also my little princess, a princess. If I'm the sorcerer, she's the sorcerer's apprentice. In Mickey's house at Toontown, he has this photo of him and Walt, but now Mickey's all grown up and Walt's not here anymore, so who's going to assume the role as the next great storyteller for our world? If not Walt, why not me? There's me and Mickey now, in his steamboat, Willie. right where it all began. Time to build a new magic kingdom through our storytelling. And not everyone knew how far Walt Disney's vision stretched. This man was very much involved in many world fairs and was very much a proponent of technology improving society. And Epcot was not designed to be a theme park. Epcot, which stands for the Experimental Prototype Community of Tomorrow, was actually Walt Disney trying to create a real world utopian society that was self-sufficient and promoted technology to forward progress humanity. His Epcot was a true Tomorrowland, only if he had survived long enough to see it through, but sadly, after his passing, the board didn't feel like anyone else was as much of a visionary to execute what needed to be done to make it come to fruition the way Walt was planning. So instead, we have to settle for the amusement park Tomorrowland. And I try to highlight the difference of the ultimate utopian Tomorrowland that Walt was planning for with the amusement park Tomorrowland that we get to enjoy to my daughter. Like Walt Disney says himself, we are all storytellers and we are just getting started. So why not try to see more of the amazing stories that happen in your day-to-day and share it with others so that we can connect and find true understanding with each other. The Queen of Hearts can be seen with the wardrobe change here as Maleficent with her two sisters, Snow White and Merida. When traveling to Copenhagen with my close friends, the birthplace of The True Little Mermaid by Hans Christian Andersen, we decided to cast my friend Vince as Prince Eric, as a homage to the beauty of The Little Mermaid. While on the islands of Hawaii, my daughter wanted to know how far she'll go, and she kept coming to the edge of the water as little baby Moana. With all of my storytelling and my style through my perspective, I find myself always thinking off the page or upside down. And I find ways to teach my daughter that she can turn the world upside down to build her own kingdom, her own castle, in the fashion and to the level that Walt Disney did himself. It's better to see things through the looking glass and turn your original perspective upside down because it highlights things you may not have noticed the first time around. Walt Disney's first animated film highlighted two polar opposites, black and white. And it was a beautiful way to get the ball rolling. And as I alluded to earlier, a three-sided coin is when you take two opposites, like the heads of a coin and the tails of a coin. And everyone says that when you flip a coin, the odds are 50-50. It's going to be heads or tails. But when you think of it that way, you're missing the third side of the coin. It is in the realm of possibility that when you flip this coin, that when it lands, it's not going to be heads or tails, that it could potentially land on its edge. And now you're not dealing with the polar opposites of heads or tails. All you're dealing with is the fact that it's a coin. If black was heads and the silver is tails, it doesn't have to be either or. The third side of the coin is the edge, and that's where the beauty happens. That's when infinitely big and infinitely small can be the same thing. They're both just infinities. That's when you don't have to feel like you need to defend an opposing view. Someone else's view can be as valid as your own, even if they're at complete odds with each other, because it's like the past and the future. They're just the present combined with time. The Disney magic shows up everywhere for me now. And it's so welcomed because here you can see my mom in the backyard with my daughter. That's also my past self with my future self. And I'm up on the balcony just observing the present self. You may notice my mom has a black backpack on because her health regarding her lungs is starting to fail. And now she's becoming dependent on her oxygen support to live. And some may become saddened by this and distraught. But if you can see the third side of the coin, just like the circle of life represented in The Lion King, you can realize that the two opposites of birth and death can be the same thing, and that together that makes a full life. And that if you only celebrate birth and you fear and avoid death, then you're fearing and avoiding half of life. And to really enjoy and embrace life, you need to experience both sides of the coin, birth and death. And so knowing that my mom is going to continue to live in me and my daughter, even when she's not physically here, gives me solace and gives me comfort. And it all ties back to the beauty of the storytelling and philosophy of The Lion King. And the newer version, the Jon Favreau reboot, highlighted this philosophy so much better than the first, because Pumbaa and Timon actually spoke about a linear perspective on life, known as the line of indifference, versus the circle of life, where everything is connected and everything is one. And right now, in my real world, my wife views time as being linear. And so time I spend away from her and the family is time that I'm prioritizing things over her. But in my mind, I view time as being circular because I've experienced it that way. So I see it as the time I'm away from her is just time I'm allowing myself to see other colors from other people that I wouldn't normally see being around my close circle of trust. And so by allowing myself to embrace others and experience new colors, that allows me to become a better person, a better father, a better husband, so that the time I do spend with her is more meaningful. And I see it as the greatest gift you can give anyone is your undivided attention. And as long as I give that during the time I'm with her, that 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is, could feel like a small infinity. Circle of life all over again when it comes to time. So in closing, I'd like to just say, I think that there's a three-sided coin in everything. And by having a lens of storytelling to see the world through, you can find that three-sided coin everywhere. Even here is the first Halloween my wife and I ever did with our daughter, and our family theme was connected. I'm the sunshine, my wife's the rain cloud, and my daughter's our rainbow. And sometimes people would say, well, why does your wife have to be the negative rain? And I was saying, it doesn't have to be negative. Life wouldn't exist without the rain. And my daughter's name is Spring, which most people misinterpret as the season, but really her name was named after a spring of water. And so my daughter wouldn't exist without rain. And the rainbow wouldn't exist without rain. The rain and the sunshine combined is what allows us to appreciate the rainbow. So there's no need to avoid the dark side of life. It's just the flip side of the coin. And once you zoom out to gain a new perspective, to see the third side of the coin, you realize that it's equally beautiful and valid as the positive sides that we tend to gravitate towards. So with that, I just want to say thank you for your time and attention for this opportunity. It really would be out of this world to be chosen as the Disney+Dream-Job winner. I mean, in terms of stealing and storytelling, even Disney today, the company, when they notice another company doing it to the same level, if not better, what happens? They grab them and bring them into the Disney universe. Star Wars, Pixar, Marvel. Technically, it's all Disney now. And even BB-8. You can say hello and share the Disney love. It's crazy. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.